Running a travel business can be overwhelming, but imagine if there was a single tool that helped you look professional, stay organized, was easy to use, and affordable. That's just what Travify does. Travify gives you the essential tools you need to look like a travel biz pro. Travify is the most trusted system used by over 30,000 travel brands worldwide. So get started with a system that helps you get back to the joy of planning travel and run your travel business like a pro with Travify.
Finding the perfect resort for your clients can be frustrating and take hours of research. TA Toolkit solves that problem for you. We have over 700 items your clients request, plus you can search multiple destinations at once. You'll have a list of resorts that match your clients' needs in less than 10 minutes. Sign up today with the promo code WAVEPREP2024 for a 14-day free trial. TA Toolkit, it's about time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Prep for Wave Week. Woo! I am so excited to be here with you today. It is day one, Foundations Day. If you're kind of brand new here, welcome. If you're a returning Prep for Wave Weeker, also super welcome back to you. I hope that you love this year's sessions as much as the previous year's sessions. Of course, there's always something going on. I think this is the first time that Prep for Wave Week has really been affected by any sort of hurricane. So not that the show isn't going on, but just have to point that out. This is the fourth year, and a hurricane comes and almost monkey wrenches, but doesn't completely. So I'm just so happy that you're here, no matter if you were also in the midst of a hurricane with me, or wherever in the States or in the world or in North America that you may be. Super glad to have you here. I really hope that this sets the right intention to get you start planning for a new year of business now, and especially before all of the amazing fall and winter holidays that we're having. So my session today is a little bit about reverse engineering that, because I know myself, when I first got into this business, I was like, I'm just going to sell stuff. But that didn't work for me, clearly. And we have to be a little bit more intentional. So, especially when I'm thinking about Foundations Day and putting the curriculum together, this is really the best place where this fit in, because this should be one of the foundational practices that you are doing to get the right eyeballs almost on your business, in terms of you being able to look at certain figures in your business and see where to go from there, where the strategy needs to be made. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about planning your sales by working backwards. Now, I know you're probably like, but I thought this was revenue. We're going to actually go over a couple of different definitions, and that's the reason why I changed this to say sales over revenue, because revenue encompasses a little bit more than sales. And what I really teach when I talk about this discussion is sales that you are doing within your business. So that's why we're talking about working backwards in your sales. So instead of working forward and saying that you're going to sell X amount of things, we're really thinking of okay, I have to sell X amount of things. How am I going to get there to sell X amount of things? I hope that kind of helps distinguish between what I see as working forward and also working backwards. Selling without a target just does not work. Now, there's always a caveat. There's always, some outlier that's yes, it can. So I won't say ultimately this is not possible to work, but especially if you've been feeling burnt out, you've been trying to make this business work for quite some time, it's just not working. Or if you're a newbie within this business and you're like, I don't want to feel burnt out, like I see so many of my more experienced peers experiencing right now, then we have to have that target in the place. One of my favorite movies is Robin Hood, the Kevin Costner version, not the Disney version, funny enough. And Robin Hood is a very skilled archer. What does a very skilled archer need in order to win points and win championships? It is a target. So that is really what we're thinking about when we are the target is our sales goal, really. So if you're brand new to my world, welcome no matter where you came from. I know we had so many amazing people helping me to promote this event and get it out to you. My name is Rita M. Perez. I've been in the travel industry since 2010. I do a lot more on the education and mentorship side than actually operating an agency like I previously had been focusing on. And it has been quite the whirlwind of experience. If you are new to me, I'm a bit of a nerd. And so all things like Marvel, I'm currently watching the new Agatha show on Disney Plus. The new season of Rings of Power has recently come on that I need to binge. And also Love is Blind. Like all those things are my jam. I know they're totally different, but I love them all. So definitions, going back to why did I call this a sales workshop as opposed to a revenue workshop? So I think we get these terms mixed around a lot. And so before we even like start thinking about like planning your sales backwards, we need to figure out what's the difference between some of these words. So commission is something that you earn off of a sale. That should be pretty simple. I think we talk a lot about commissions because, especially having a travel agency, we make commissions based off of what the supplier split and our host agency or franchise split is. If you are hosted or franchise, some of you may also be fully independent. So then you don't have to worry about a split, but you do have to worry then about where your sales are in order to hit like certain different commission levels. Because that's one of the benefits of being like with a host or a franchise is that you don't have to worry too much about targets with certain suppliers. But if you're independent, you definitely do, which is why I know a lot of independent agents are a little bit more targeted. Like they have a more specific focus of supplier partners that they work on versus if you're hosted, you have like 50 plus suppliers that you can work with because it's not solely dependent on just your sales. So you get a portion of commission. I would say average commission is going to be 10%. I think that's for a lot of things, the bare minimum of where some of the travel products start. We won't dive in too deep, but I just wanted to let you know a commission is a percentage of the sales that you sell. So sales are things that you sell within your business. And so typically in the travel agency world, this is going to be you are selling your services, so like consultation fees. You are also selling products, and products is really like a hard definition because it's not like you're selling a physical product like a cell phone. Like somebody's not going to get a cell phone after they work with you. Really what they're going to get is a lot of memories, really great experience and destination, whatever type of travel it is that you focus on, because you're going to find out we're going to focus specifically on groups, cruises, and luxury FIT. And the groups that we're focusing on is destination weddings, just to give a little bit of examples over there. So whatever it is that you're selling to any of these different markets, these different demographics, that is what counts as sales. They are paying for a service and you are earning income from that. So then we also have revenue. So revenue still is money that's coming in, but it doesn't necessarily mean a sale. So it can mean like affiliate income, affiliate commission. That is income coming in, but you didn't necessarily have to sell it. Like sometimes if you're linking up like your Project Expedition or your AMA Waterways or Virgin Voyages link, like in blog posts, if somebody buys it, technically that was a sale, but you didn't really have to do anything if it came straight from your website. So that's really cool, like almost affiliate commission. If you participate in like the Amazon affiliate program, that's affiliate commission that you can make coming in. Other things would include like any sorts of investments or any investments that you've made, and then the increase of revenue that comes from those types of investments. So it is money that comes in that's not necessarily directly related to a sale is what revenue is. And then profit is really revenue minus expenses equals profit. So we're going to talk a little bit about your expenses, because knowing what your expenses are also helps us to determine what your sales need to be in order to meet the income goal that you have in mind. And now also, profit is for your business, because if we're doing this like financially sound, and you should highly recommend talking with like your CPA or your tax accountant, profit is not, there's a couple, if we had like a pie chart of a lot of different definitions, because we would have your revenue, and then we would have your expenses, but some of those things you also have to have like an owner's draw or your own income, or if you're paying out other people, which technically are expenses too. It gets a little complicated, but I just wanted to let you know it's not so straightforward either when I say revenue minus expenses equals profit. But that's a really good just generalization for you to know about. So how I like to work backwards, because I know a lot of people, we want to start off here. We want to start off doing all the fun marketing stuff. I know, I was there. I've done that, where I send all the weekly emails and I want to do all the Facebook posts and live and all that. Like, that's my jam. Marketing is my zone of genius. That's like where I find my creative fuel, my creative passion in. But how do you know what to market if you don't know how many sales that you have? I think like that is why I see so much almost like sloppy marketing in people's social media feeds or in email marketing, is because you're trying to sell this thing and that thing and this deal and this offer. And there's no like congruency, almost like there's no, this is the one thing to be known about. There's a lot of things that people know you about, but it's messy. And so messy action doesn't inspire people to want to invest in you. They want to be able to, we talk about this a lot, know, like, trust. And one of the ways that you can do that is by consistently talking about similar things. Because especially, I remember my very first website for my travel agency, because I wanted to specialize in girlfriend getaways. I remember I had this photo of like some ladies at a ski lodge. I hate skiing. So why would I have put that photo on my website? Because I thought I could just do everything. And these are just some of the things that you learn along the way. But the things that need to be in your marketing plan need to be things that you love and things that you already have targets for. Like, I already know I need to sell 100 cruises for the year, or whatever it might be. And we're going to break a little bit of that down. You can't know that until you know what your numbers are first, and until you decided what products you're going to sell within your business to hit those nuggets, number targets. I invented a new word here today. So we're not going to talk too much about the marketing plan in this session. I really want to focus on breaking down the numbers, and then also getting you to visualize what a sales mix can look for you and your business. So some considerations that you need to have too, because I don't feel like it's solely that you have to focus on your sales and your income. You are a whole human being as well. So yes, you need to know how much income that you need to make. Some of you are on a pension, so you don't even have to worry about income. You have retirement income coming in as well. Some of you have a spouse that takes care of a lot of the income, but because a lot of like your primary income is taken care of, doesn't mean that you shouldn't have targets within your business either. Because again, we don't want you to have like a sloppy marketing, like a sloppy visibility plan out there. Like, we want it to be super targeted, because I know maybe it's just that you want to get out of your house. Maybe it's that you just want to meet people. Maybe you just have a passion for helping people, but we still have to be targeted, because this is not a hobby. Like, you could plan trips for people and not charge them money, but you are doing this specifically because you wanted to make money. You wanted to make revenue. You possibly didn't want to go and work like at a grocery store or a pharmacy part-time job, and you wanted to have a little bit more peace and and more freedom in your decision making. So that's why you have a business. So you always have to remember you've got that business hat on, no matter if you're working this full-time or part-time. You are still a business owner, and you have to make business decisions like that. How many hours can you work? Because I know there are lots of different time commitments. Maybe you are working a full-time job and you want your business to replace your full-time income. Maybe you know that your full-time income, because I've had this conversation a little bit with people, you cannot ever leave your full-time job. A lot of people have to stay with their full-time job because of certain benefits. And so how can you balance doing business stuff at home to work extra to make some extra income, while also realizing that you still have to work your 40 or 20, whatever it is, hours at your full-time job? I know also there's a lot of you that might have like some family obligations, like maybe you take care of the grandkids Tuesdays and Thursdays, so you can't work those days. So those are different things to think about. I know I think about, I have chronic illness. There's some days of the month that I can't work. So those are considerations that I have for myself. What kind of work-life balance do you want? And then also, what kinds of products and services do you want to be selling to the clients that you serve? So before we go any further, you're like, what the heck is this? This is the lead generation calculator link. I know some of you might already have access to this, but if you are brand new, it's a free thing that you can sign up for. I'm going to show you in the next couple slides some of the expenses that you need to account for in your personal and professional life. If you're like, how am I supposed to like put all the numbers to this? The lead generation calculator does all the calculations on the back end. It even figures out what your yearly income goal is supposed to be based on possible taxes and credit card fees and things like that. It is not a be all end all definitive guide. It's just a really neat tool for you to be able to use and just get a really great idea. I would definitely work with somebody who has financial background, CPA or tax accountant again, to get a better handle of your finances. But this is just a really great start for you. So when we think of what are some of our personal expenses, and I know some of you don't even have to worry about these expenses because, again, you might have a pension, retirement income, your spouse generates the revenue. So you don't have to worry about basic household needs, personal needs, savings, investments I have on there. So it really all depends just where you're at. So you might pick and choose. And maybe it's even like a personal expenses like a family vacation, or to be able to put your kids through private school or a private college, or to be able to buy really great uniforms this year. Like there's so many different goals that you might have. So your personal expenses are going to look very different than somebody else's personal expenses. Then professional expenses, regardless of whether you need to make income or not from your business, you are going to have business expenses. So at the very least, your business needs to pay to afford this. Like this is not your job that needs to pay for any of this. This is not like your retirement income that needs to pay for any of this. This is the business that needs to pay for itself because it is its own entity. So there's lots of different types of fees. We have local government fees. You have industry fees like associations and memberships. You have business insurance. Maybe even you want to start factoring in that you would like to work with a coach next year. Those are going to compound different numbers. So when you're really working with a calculator, you can be like, okay, these are my bare minimum expenses. And these are, I would love to be able to do all of these expenses. So here are just a couple of the expenses, and please feel free. These are all recorded. So if you need to go back, take some screenshots, you are more than welcome to take screenshots of anything on here that would be super helpful for you. We also have to factor in time expenses because everybody's time is going to be a little bit different as well. So are you going to be working full-time in your business? Could you only work part-time? Maybe you can only work seasonally in your business. So I'm thinking about, teachers really have that summer vacation time where they can like really fully commit to time being in their businesses, and maybe they work like just a couple hours on the weekend when school's in session. So this is going to vary highly, like how often are you able to work. Then you also have to figure in, because you are not an employee for somebody else, you are an employee for yourself. And so we have to figure out these time expenses, because especially when we're thinking about fees, your fees have to account for some of these things, because we don't get sick time, we don't get PTO time as a business owner. So our fees and our services, those income generating items have to cover these different expenses for us. So, especially when you are trying to figure out what your fee should be, I don't want you to come at that from a place of, well, this is how much time it's going to take, and this is what my hourly rate should be. You should definitely add in some buffer, because you're not going to be working 24/7. You're not going to be working 52 weeks a year. So, you have to take into account. And I mean, that's all businesses take that kind of information into account before saying, okay, this is how much I will do this repair for, or whatever it might be, household or otherwise. So we have vacation time, holiday time, sick time, and personal time that needs to be factored in. So what can an income breakdown look like? So the last time I showed this slide, I got a lot of like, oh my goodness. So I added another income level in here. So I'm calling this my super part-time, just needs a little bit of income here and there person, because you maybe have a pension or a spouse helping out. So I added this income bracket. That's $1,000 per month. Then we have $2,500 per month, which I think is a pretty reasonable, especially if you have a double income home. Then we have $5,000 a month, especially if you're looking to be like more fully independent. And then I put $8,350 a month. This $8,000 number is the bare minimum that will get you to a six-figure year if you are wanting to bring in $100,000 of revenue. Those numbers go up though, because remember, we can say like our paycheck at work is going to say $1,000, but then it's going to deduct everything for taxes and all the governmental stuff. That doesn't happen when we're a business owner. So we have to account for that. So if you need to be making anything that's on here on this top pink line, this is what your income actually needs to be, this second line, because this takes into account those taxes and credit card fees. This is where it gets really interesting as a business owner, because you can clearly see $1,000 is not $1,000. $5,000 is not $5,000. You have to account for these other expenses that don't automatically go out like a regular paycheck would. So this third little line, this middle line, is our yearly income goal. So it's pretty much the second line times 12, you get this amount. So this really needs to be the target of income that you need to make or bring in on a yearly basis. Now, words, I also need you to know that we're special industry, right? Being in the travel industry, you also have to figure in for taxes, because just because you sell $100,000 in vacations doesn't mean that that's what's going to be going in your pocket. So you need to sell at least 10 times of that if your average commission coming in is 10% of each of your sales. So this fourth line really is your yearly sales goal. And I think this is what tends to be a little daunting with everybody, especially like when we're working backwards, we're working reverse here, is that especially if you want to earn your first six figures, you have to sell over or close to $1 million. And so I want you, and this is like why I wanted to break this down. I think this is really great for foundations because not a lot of people are talking about this numbers breakdown. And like for me, this was crucial. Like when I came up with this tool to use it for myself, I'm like, I can see things so much clearer. Like, this is the target. This yearly sales goal is the target. Like, these two numbers really should be top of mind, your yearly income goal and your yearly sales goal. I broke it down monthly because sometimes it's a little bit easier to see things monthly because it's a smaller number. So that last line is how much you need to be selling monthly to hit your yearly sales goal. So, all right. We good? We good? Like, I hope you haven't fainted or anything on me. We are going to see what are some ways that we can break this up just a little bit. Now, I will say I didn't do too much with this category, like the $2,500 a month, but you're going to see the $1,000, the 5,000, and the 8,350. So what does our time breakdown look like? We've broken down our income quite a bit, and now we need to break down our time. So I was being a little cutesy here. We have part-time Polly who wants to work 20 hours max a week. Then we have in the middle Molly. She's okay doing a little bit part-time, a little bit full-time there. And then we have Hustle Holly. Holly really wants to work full-time in their business. And gents, please go ahead if you would like to rename any of these, or any ladies or gents, if you don't like any of these names, please feel free. I was just like, oh, well, this kind of works with everybody has the same name here. So 3 to 40 hours plus is what Hustle Holly is working. So what can this mean in terms of our time breakdown? If this is the only amount of time people have a week, what are some of the things that might be focusing on, especially if they have certain income goals? So I kind of put our part-time Polly at the lower income bracket. And I put her as our group specialist. She doesn't have a lot of time. She doesn't have to make too much revenue compared to our middle Molly and our Hustle Holly. So groups might be a really great way for her to like meet in the middle between her income goals as well as her time goals. In the middle, Molly is going to be focusing on cruises, and Hustle Holly, she has time, which means that she has more time to do a lot of research. Research to me means a lot of FIT, fully independent travel. So Holly's going for the glory. So she's our 6-figure earner. Molly is the one that wants to do $5,000 every month, and then Polly is our $1,000 every single month. Some of the ways, like before we start breaking that down, there are a couple different levers that you can pull, because I know there's a lot of people that are like, you can't ever sell like this type of travel will never generate the income that you want. I feel like Disney is one of those that gets a lot of poo-poo on. And I feel like a product like Disney can be profitable if you think strategically about it. So instead of thinking about selling a moderate or one of the budget resorts, think about a deluxe or a villa resort. Also think about the add-ons like the dining plan that you can add that really boost up your revenue. So you might be a Disney specialist, but you are a luxury Disney specialist. You are a villa Disney specialist. And so then people will also be like gravitated to you, knowing that that's what your specialty is within your business. Mass market cruises, I've been there where like you get $50 of commission for like all this hours of work that you did. So if you're thinking about, you want mass market cruises to really be the thing because you can pop them in, pop them out, day in, day out, you know the product really well, and it's really easy for you to book, maybe you might consider booking suites to increase the revenue that you make from mass market cruises. And then 3, 4, and 5 here, always you can bump up from like premium or regular properties to luxury properties. You can think about like, are you going to be working with tour operators versus DMC? A DMC I consider more high touch, that more of that luxury FIT. It's going to take a longer time to get some responses sometimes from DMCs, as opposed to some of the larger tour operators. You probably have a BDM that will be able to answer any messages like within an hour. So those are the things that you have to think about. Like, you may want to be some way, but you cannot be some way because you don't have the time to spend to wait for answers. So what are the different levers that you can pull within your business? Similarly, an FIT can take all that time. So maybe instead of doing all of these different individual FITs, maybe it's you just do certain groups every single year and then just sell that package to everybody instead of starting from square one every single time. So what can be part of your sales mix? There's definitely more that are in here, but I feel like these are the top 7, where your fees, whatever you might call them, trip management fees, we're going to talk about those a little bit later this week with Jackie Williams. Professional fees, consultation fees, and this can be fees for you to build an itinerary, book the different components, or this can be just like 1 hour one-on-one consultation fee that you can charge as well for someone to be able to pick your brain. Maybe they have like hotel points or air miles, but they just need a little bit of direction in what gateways they should be going in and out of, or what are the best areas to stay, or places close to this attraction or that attraction. And so you can guide them, but you don't need to guide them for free. That is your time, and that is also a brain investment. That's your intellectual property that you have, so you should definitely be charging for something like that. Travel insurance, cruises, package trips, tours, FITs, and then of course some excursions as well. Those are all different components of a full package that you can sell. So some sales considerations, this is pretty much in line with that different pulling of the different levers. Maybe you want to graduate from selling mass market to selling a more premium product. And maybe premium product, because it's a higher price tag, you can start focusing back on what you really love, which is balconies, and not so much the suites. Whatever might float your boat. Similarly, like, you might be in cruises, but you might like river over ocean cruises, and you might like land over doing any sorts of cruises. You might have a annual fee structure, like a membership almost, or you might just have a fee per trip. So that's different ways that you can structure that. Package versus FIT, budget versus luxury, and then a single trip versus a group. So I just wanted to show a couple different other ways that you might be able to pull some levers within your business. One of the levers that I don't really discuss in this presentation is adding on assistance and help, whether that is you are ready to start possibly your own host agency and have independent contractors work under you, or if you are ready to add on employees and really take over that like CEO role. So that's another way to generate sales, by paying people to generate the sales for your business. And so we don't really talk about that, but that is another way, another lever that you can pull, in that maybe you're not necessarily making all the sales, but you're paying a team to do that for you too. One of the considerations that I also want you to have is picking your supplier partner. So we talked a little bit about this in the beginning. It doesn't matter if you are hosted or franchised and your host or franchise has their own preferred partners. You should also pick your own preferred partners amongst those supplier partners, because especially if we're thinking about tour operators and cruises, there's dozens of options that are available to you. But if you want to be like really hone in on niching down and speaking to specific people, if you say like, I always recommend Regent, or I always recommend Windstar, or these are the only kinds of cruises that I book, it is going to be a little bit more easier for you to get outputs out there. When I talk about saving time, and time being one of your expenses, that is going to be one of the ways that you save time. And if you're strategic with it, you can also increase your revenue if you are promoting higher ticket suppliers. So what could the life of Hustle Holly look like with her 30 to 40 plus hours a week? So I broke it down where she's doing luxury FIT. So she could be focusing on, like, let's say she is just hustling during like one certain quarter or one season of the year. This is how much in sales that she needs to make. So this is the yearly sales. This is the biannual sales. And then if we're breaking down sales by quarter, this is how much sales that she needs to make every quarter to hit this $1 million number. So what could her sales mix look like? So we are talking about luxury FIT. I didn't really put in the amounts of people. I do have the amounts of people for our cruises and our groups, but I just really wanted to focus on the sales amounts, especially when we're thinking about luxury FIT. I think about that they are probably at least purchasing Comfort Plus, business class airline tickets. They're going overseas. They're staying in 3, 4, 5-star, probably 4 and 5-star properties. They really want exclusivity. So at the bare minimum, one of her trips should be costing $7,500, which means that's 206 trips a year that she needs to be selling. Now that sounds like a lot. So let's do some math here. So 206 divided by 52, that means Hustle Holly needs to sell 4 trips every single year if her trips average out to be $7,500 a trip. And now here's where I know a lot of people are going to be like, I don't want to sell that many trips, or when am I supposed to take a vacation then? Which is why I mentioned maybe at one point you're going to want to start hiring on help for your business, or you want to start focusing on pulling the increased income or the increased sales, which is why maybe Holly is like, I'm not hustling that hard. I'm going to start selling $10,000 trips. So if we're focusing on $10,000 trips with Holly, then she just has to sell about 3 trips every single. So she saved herself a trip a week. Let's say she really wants to focus on $20,000 trips. So this is definitely going to be first class tickets, 5-star accommodations, private transfers, the mix. So if she is doing 75 trips for the year, she needs to be selling a trip and a half, aka 2 trips every single week. Now, so I'm doing the math. I'm going to show it to you there. I am dividing by 52 weeks a year. Maybe Holly is like, I'm not working 52 weeks a year. I'm going to be working 48 weeks a year. I'm going to take 4 weeks of vacation because I need my own time here. So when we double that down, she needs to sell 1.625 trips. So pretty much still 2 trips a week in order to not have to work every single week so the 48 weeks. So instead of having to sell 2 trips 52 weeks, she has to sell 2 trips 48 weeks. So I hope like you can also like see the difference there if we're figuring out taking time off and like being able to recoup a little bit. So this is what life might look like for Hustle Holly. And I feel like at this point, especially if she's making 6 figures, she's definitely got to have some assistance. It might not be sales assistance, but she might have like a social media manager that she pays every month to keep up with social media. She might have an admin to help her put out invoices and help with guest service type calls and things like that. Hustle Holly is not doing business on her own. If she's doing business on her own, then they are selling really high ticket products, high touch products. Or they may have like, because any of these models, because you can do this with luxury FIT, you can do this with cruise, you can do this with groups. I'm just trying to give you a mix of different options here. But especially if you're like looking at luxury cruise, private yachting, things like that, the commission is going to be a little bit higher. Like I know, and it also is going to depend like how many people are going on these trips. Your commission's going to be higher, your sales are going to be increased, and there's again some other different levers that you can pull to make more money, but working a little bit less, which is a really great segue. If you haven't already tuned into Jamie's session this day, today, she has one about doing that, power moves to work less and make more money. So moving on a little bit to middle Molly, her income goal is this one, the $923,000 per year, $923,000 per year. So this is the $5,000 per month. And so middle Molly only has 20 to 30 hours. So I'm thinking she's really well versed in a lot of the different cruise portals. So working part-time hours, she's still going to be able to make a decent amount of income as she's building her business with cruises. So if she is focusing on $3,500 ocean cruises for 2 people, that is 264 cruises a year. So that is a lot of cruises. So that's even more than Hustle Holly had to sell over here. If we're thinking about ocean cruises for 4, that's 185. So if it's a $5,000 cruise, so thinking about like this could be a family cruise, this is the amount that you will need to sell. So let's break that down a little bit. If we do 185 divided by 52, she has to sell 4 cruises every single week for 52 weeks. But if we're going to give her 4 weeks of vacation again, she needs to sell then 4 cruises every single week for 48 weeks instead. So I kind of like that, being able to like play around with all the numbers here. Then if you're again bumping up, you can see you don't have to work as much if you're trying to increase the revenue of the trips that you're taking. So, and that's like 2 different things. You can bust your booty out and sell a lot of trips, or you can hone it back a little bit, sell a little amount of trips that cost more money to give you a little bit of peace of mind and sanity if you don't want to be pumping up that many trips every single year. And then we go to our part-time Polly who wants to work 20 hours max. Maybe she's living the amazing retirement lifestyle. She's like, I'm retired. I'm not working more than 20 hours a week in my business. Or maybe she has other family commitments. Or maybe she is also one of those people that's like, I have a chronic illness. I can't work more than 20 hours because that's what happens with chronic illness life. So her income, I put it a little bit lower because she doesn't want to work as much. So she's the $162,000 a year. So if we do that every 6 months, it's $81,000, and every quarter she does have to sell about $40,000. So if we're looking at the potential sales mix, and we're going to deem part-time Polly as a destination wedding specialist. So if each of the destination weddings that she sells, she has like different variances. So if a $40,000 destination wedding, that's what she focuses on for 20 people. That means she's going to need 5 groups every single year. So you can see how now, like, I feel like groups kind of changes the game a little bit for people. Instead of like having to deal with these 200 plus separate reservations, now you just have a handful of groups that you need to work with. There's going to be multiple people within that group, but you can see that there's a little bit less work in here because you're not starting from square one every time. And your income just increases depending on what you're doing. So let's say we're going for a little bit more luxury. We're having 40 people. It's an $80,000 destination wedding. So you're going to need 3 groups a year, or roughly 1 group every single quarter. I feel like that's like, for me, that's like, oh my God, like that feels doable. That feels good. In order to be able to make this $1,000 every single month, to be able to sell 3 groups, that might work for you. Or you can like sell ultra luxury, like larger types of wedding groups, and you might only need 1 group every single year. Can you imagine that? Like how great. Maybe you kind of feel a little overwhelmed at the same point, but for many people, I feel like working on one type of trip for multiple people might be a little bit more sexier and doable for your business. So we've kind of broken down a little bit of the how you can work backwards words to get to the different sales goal that you might have. I also want you to remember revenue boosters. We touched a little bit on this, but where it's like maybe the package itself is a $5,000, $10,000 trip. Have you already added travel insurance yet? Maybe you would like to add like a photography package that you can get commission on. So again, there's different little things. These are called upsells that you can do to enhance the revenue of your business. So maybe you thought your average revenue was X amount of money, but how can you really increase it? So then you have to do less work on the back end. There's tons of different pathways, honestly. Like, this is just a high level overview of just a few of the pathways and how you can get there. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or lack or anything. I'm sure like this has been a lot of information for you to consume, but this is going to be a really great time to like have it start marinating so that you can start creating that plan and start thinking about like what do you want 2025 not only to look like but feel like. What types of records do you want to break for your own self? What is going to make this year stand out for you above all others? You have to start thinking about that now so that you have time for it to marinate, especially with all the craziness that's about to happen with life. And always know and remember, there's no one way to do business. There's a lot of different ways. They all work. They might not all work for you. So that's why it's important to find the one way or the multiple ways that might work best for you and how you want to see life and build your business. I would love to keep in touch. So if any questions popped up, you feel free to like comment below this video and you can send them to me that way or shoot me an email. I am always giving tactical and practical advice like this on the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast. So if you're not subscribed, make sure that you do. And if you are serious about working reverse in your business, you need to join us at Plan Your Year, which is happening November 21st through 22nd. The ticket is only $99 to attend. It is a total of 4 hours together, but I break that down, so 2 hours each day so that we don't get a little overwhelmed. But if you are needing a little bit more one-on-one small group guidance, then you need to join us at Plan Your Year because we are going to figure out that income goal that we talked about in a couple slides about. We are also going to figure out what your sales mix is during that session. And you're also going to be able to start preliminary planning for your marketing plan in 2025. So what I like to say is before the turkey even starts cooking for Thanksgiving, if you celebrate, you already have your plans set up, your foundation for your business for 2025. So scan that QR code. It's also prepforwaveweek.com/planyouryear, and you will secure your ticket. If for some reason you cannot make it live, I do give you access to the recordings to listen to. I also give you access to like the private podcast feed. So if you don't want to watch it, you can also listen to it. And you do get access to like this chock full digital workbook that I created for you all last year, as well as the Google Sheets. If you were a fan of not having to figure out calculations yourself, you're going to want to get access to these Google Sheets that will have all the calculations ready and set for you. So you don't have to figure out by yourself, like, okay, what's the math on this on my sales mix? So that is it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in to this session at Prep for Wave Week. I cannot wait to see you in the other sessions. And don't forget, we do have study hall at 3 p.m. Eastern today. Our study hall co-host is Dora Karanikas of Lux Pages. And it's going to be a great way to kick off Prep for Wave Week. And then also super huge thank you to the people that make Prep for Wave Week as accessible to as many travel advisors as possible. Our presenting partners, Travify and TA Toolkit, and our premier partners, Fine Travel, Inflow Design Co., and Lucia. All right, see you all next time.